What if one of the biggest secrets in music history has been hidden right before our eyes for nearly 2 decades? Imagine discovering that Beyoncé, yes, Queen Bey herself, might have been hiding a secret child all along, and that the father isn't Jay-Z, but dancehall legend Sean Paul. After years of whispers, awkward interviews, and industry cover-ups, Sean Paul has finally decided to break his silence. And what he's saying has fans and insiders absolutely losing their minds. Stay tuned, because this revelation could shake the entire music world to its core, and Jay-Z's reaction proves just how real this bombshell really is. All right, y'all, buckle up because this story is about to blow your mind. For years, fans have speculated about the chemistry between Sean Paul and Beyoncé, especially after their steamy 2003 collaboration on Baby Boy. The song was an instant hit, topping charts across the world and setting the stage for Beyoncé's solo superstardom. But behind the bright lights and award shows, there were whispers. Rumors that their chemistry wasn't just professional, and that something much deeper was happening off-camera. Now, 2 decades later, Sean Paul has allegedly come forward with shocking claims that threaten to rewrite everything we thought we knew about that era, and about Beyoncé's carefully crafted image. What he's saying isn't just about old feelings or studio gossip. It's about a hidden truth that, if proven real, could rock the entire Carter empire. According to inside sources, Sean Paul's recent interview opened old wounds and revealed hints of a cover-up that's lasted for years. A story involving secrecy, fear, and power. He reportedly dropped cryptic remarks about being cut off after speaking too freely about his connection to Beyoncé, and fans are convinced this is all tied to one of the industry's longest-running rumors, the claim that Beyoncé may have a child that's never been publicly acknowledged. And here's where it gets even wilder, because Jay-Z's reaction to these new claims isn't silence, it's outrage. Industry insiders are saying he's doing everything in his power to shut this story down before it spirals out of control, but it may already be too late. In this deep dive, we're going to unpack everything, from how Sean Paul and Beyoncé's relationship began to the hidden clues in their music videos, and why this rumor is resurfacing now, after 20 long years. We'll explore what Sean Paul really said, how Jay-Z is responding behind the scenes, and whether there's any truth to the idea that a secret child was hidden to protect reputations, careers, and an empire built on image. This is one of those stories where every layer reveals another secret. So stay tuned until the end, because what's about to come next is the kind of revelation that reminds us just how powerful and dangerous fame can be. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind the clock back to the early 2000s, a time when R&B and dancehall were dominating the charts, and Beyoncé was stepping out from the shadow of Destiny's Child to become a solo powerhouse. Her debut solo album, Dangerously in Love, was already packed with hits, but there was one song that defined the summer of 2003, Baby Boy, featuring Jamaican superstar Sean Paul. The collaboration was magic. From the moment the music video dropped, fans couldn't stop talking about the undeniable chemistry between Beyoncé and Sean Paul. The way they looked at each other, their movements on stage, the energy they brought to every performance, it was electric. It felt real, too real. Back then, Beyoncé and Jay-Z were rumored to be dating, but hadn't officially gone public. That mystery, combined with her chemistry with Sean Paul, created the perfect storm. Fans started speculating that something romantic was going on behind the scenes. Every interview, every photo shoot, and every award show performance between the two only added more fuel to the fire. But what really caught people's attention was what didn't happen. Despite Baby Boy being one of the biggest hits of the year, Sean Paul and Beyoncé barely performed it together live. Sean Paul later admitted that he was suddenly being left out of Beyoncé's key performances, including the MTV VMAs, where everyone expected to see him. Instead, Beyoncé performed solo, and fans immediately noticed something strange. Why was the artist who made the song's signature verse missing? Why did Beyoncé suddenly distance herself from the man who helped make one of her most successful hits? The rumors started to evolve. People began to believe that something had gone wrong between the two. Something that insiders at the time whispered about tension between Jay-Z and Sean Paul. According to several reports, Jay-Z allegedly wasn't happy about the way Beyoncé and Sean Paul interacted on stage and behind the scenes. Some even claimed that Jay-Z felt disrespected, fearing that their chemistry could hurt his image and relationship. And just like that, the collaboration that made history turned into a silent battle behind the curtain. Sean Paul's appearances were quietly canceled. His name disappeared from certain promotional materials, and he was no longer part of Beyoncé's tour set lists. To the public, it seemed like a creative decision, but to those in the industry, it looked like damage control. Still, even after all that, Sean Paul remained professional. He never publicly attacked Beyoncé or Jay-Z. But over the years, his comments about that time always carried an undertone, a certain sadness mixed with confusion. He often mentioned that he didn't understand why things suddenly went cold, or why he was cut off after such a massive success. Fast forward to today, and those old interviews are being re-examined with fresh eyes. Especially now, after Sean Paul's recent cryptic remarks, people are connecting the dots. They're asking, was he really just talking about music industry politics? Or was he hinting at something much deeper, something that the world wasn't supposed to know? Because if the recent reports are true, and Sean Paul really believes that Beyoncé has been hiding a secret related to their time together, then that professional distance back in 2003 might not have been about ego or business. It might have been about hiding evidence of a relationship that went further than anyone realized. And here's where things take a turn. Because in the next part of this story, Sean Paul's words from a recent podcast interview have resurfaced, and what he said about Beyoncé, the early 2000s, and being cut off might finally explain what really happened after Baby Boy. It all started quietly. For years, Sean Paul stayed silent about what really happened between him and Beyoncé during the Baby Boy era. He brushed off the rumors, dodged questions, and played the role of the cool, unbothered artist. But time changes everything. In a recent podcast interview, Sean Paul was asked, yet again, about his experience working with Beyoncé. Most artists would have given a simple, polished answer. Something vague like, it was great working with her. But this time, his tone shifted. His smile faded and he paused, the kind of pause that tells you there's more beneath the surface. Then, almost hesitantly, Sean Paul said something that instantly caught everyone's attention. Sometimes, when you're in this business, things happen behind the scenes that the public never gets to know. People make decisions to protect images, brands, and other people's lives. The interviewer pressed further, asking what he meant by that. And Sean Paul didn't deny that his relationship with Beyoncé was deeper than fans realized. He stopped short of confirming anything directly, but the way he spoke, the way he chose his words, was enough to send the internet into chaos. He continued, let's just say, people got nervous. They thought the chemistry was too real, and suddenly I wasn't invited anymore. I didn't understand it then, but now, looking back, I do. Immediately after that episode aired, social media exploded. Fans started revisiting every old clip, every behind-the-scenes interview, every photo of Beyoncé and Sean Paul during that time. The internet became a detective agency overnight, analyzing body language, stage performances, and even lyrics. Clips resurfaced from 2003 award shows where Sean Paul and Beyoncé exchanged subtle glances that fans now claim were more than friendly. Others noticed how their energy together felt completely different from Beyoncé's performances with other male collaborators. It was playful, intimate, and electric. But here's where it gets more complicated. Right after that podcast aired, reports surfaced that Jay-Z was furious. According to insiders close to Roc Nation, Jay-Z allegedly saw the interview as a public stunt, designed to reignite old rumors he spent years trying to bury. Some say he even reached out to have certain clips taken down or limited in algorithmic reach, claiming they were defamatory. But Sean Paul didn't backtrack. In fact, days later, he made another statement during a live event that raised even more eyebrows. He said, people think everything's about fame, but sometimes it's about protection. Some people had to protect what they built, even if it meant erasing someone else's truth. Hit hard. Fans immediately took that as a direct reference to the long-standing rumor that Beyoncé's team tried to distance her from Sean Paul because of what allegedly happened between them. Now, normally, celebrity rumors fade after a few days. But this one, it didn't. It kept growing. Because soon after that interview, a leaked source, someone claiming to have worked in the early 2000s MTV production team, came forward saying that Sean Paul's appearances were deliberately pulled from certain live events because there was too much real tension on stage. And then came the wildest part, a resurfaced tabloid report from 2004 that nobody paid attention to back then. It mentioned an unnamed female pop star who allegedly took time off to deal with a private situation shortly after wrapping up a Caribbean music video shoot. Fans now believe that could have been Beyoncé during the time she filmed Baby Boy in Jamaica, and that this private situation might have involved something far more personal than just exhaustion. Of course, these claims remain unverified, but the timing and details lined up eerily well, even more so when fans compared it to a few cryptic lyrics Beyoncé wrote years later. In Resentment, one of her most emotional songs, she sings, "I loved you more than ever, more than my own life. And I tried to love you, but I couldn't keep us from falling apart." To some listeners, those lyrics were about Jay-Z. But now, with these resurfaced interviews and timelines, others believe Beyoncé was expressing emotions about a forbidden relationship from her past, possibly inspired by that chapter with Sean Paul. What makes this theory even more compelling is how carefully Beyoncé's team curated her image after that era. The focus quickly shifted to her partnership with Jay-Z, who became not just her romantic partner, but her creative and business anchor. Every narrative was rewritten to make her story appear clean, linear, and scandal-free. But Sean Paul's interview cracked open that polished image, even just a little, because for the first time, someone close to that timeline hinted that not everything we were told about Beyoncé's early solo years was the full truth. This is where the story takes a shocking turn. Because while the world thought the Sean Paul and Beyoncé chapter ended with Baby Boy, a small group of fans and insiders believe it didn't just end, it was erased. For nearly 2 decades, whispers have floated through industry circles, conspiracy threads, and even Caribbean radio stations, claiming that Beyoncé and Sean Paul's connection went far deeper than a studio collaboration. The most shocking of these claims, that their relationship allegedly led to a child, one that was never publicly acknowledged. Now, before we go any further, let's be clear, no one has ever confirmed this, and Beyoncé herself has never addressed such rumors. But what makes people so suspicious is the pattern, the silence, the sudden professional separation, and the eerie timeline that follows. Let's break it down. Baby Boy was filmed in Jamaica around early 2003. Both Beyoncé and Sean Paul spent weeks there shooting the video, rehearsing choreography, and working closely together. Locals who were part of the production team have occasionally shared stories over the years about how close the two became off-camera. They described their chemistry as intense, and said they seemed inseparable during downtime, laughing, sharing meals, and even taking quiet walks away from the crew. Then, shortly after filming wrapped, Beyoncé reportedly canceled several public appearances and retreated from the spotlight for a short period. Officially, her team said it was due to fatigue and creative rest. But fans have pointed out that this rest period conveniently lined up with the very same months Sean Paul was spotted, avoiding questions about her during his own interviews. Fast forward to late 2003. Beyoncé suddenly re-emerged in the public eye, this time seen more frequently with Jay-Z. Almost overnight, the narrative shifted from Beyoncé, the rising solo star, to Beyoncé and Jay-Z, the new power couple. To many, it looked like a natural evolution, but to others, it looked like strategic image control, a calculated rebranding to distance her from anything that could spark controversy. Then came the alleged leaks. In 2005, an anonymous post appeared on a Jamaican entertainment forum claiming that a young woman, connected to the local crew who worked on Baby Boy, was paid off to keep quiet about something involving Beyoncé and Sean Paul. The post vanished within days, but screenshots resurfaced years later on social media.